Good morning, Chiefs Kingdom. It's Wednesday, October 9th. You'll be hearing this episode a little bit later today, but wanted to make sure that we got something out for you to touch on Monday night's game against the New Orleans Saints. A lot of fun. I think there's a lot of fun that comes with tailgating on a Monday night. As a fan myself, got to go out and enjoy it with the whole family. Spent the day with the brother, the whole group of brothers that I have, my mom, and everybody. And anytime you get out there in the parking lot of Arrowhead, it's always going to be a good time. And we happen to have a large gathering of Saints fans stumble upon our tailgate, and luckily we have a DJ that was playing some bangers, and it turned it into a whole Chiefs Saints party. Unfortunately, that party ended for the Saints pretty much as soon as the game started. But um, what a great time! What a great time out there Monday Night Football. Jason Kelsey just a couple slots away from us at the tailgate in the parking lot, making some fans' day, which I think is incredibly awesome. I love that he's a part of the ESPN team, knowing that he's going to get another opportunity to come back out here whenever the Chiefs face the Buccaneers in November is going to be pretty cool. But all in all, man, what a great experience, what a great game. I think this is one of the few games that we've seen this year where it felt like the Chiefs were in control the entire time. I think we felt that way about the Ravens game up until the final maybe minute and a half. The other ones, it's kind of come down to a couple of plays, or if you're not a Chiefs fan, maybe it's a couple of blown calls if you want to, take the ref approach there. But all in all, it just felt like the Chiefs knew what they were doing. The most comfortable I've seen Patrick Mahomes by far in a game, minus the fluky interception there. Um, about third quarter, I think is when that one happened. But all in all, a lot of fun. I think the atmosphere translated well from the tailgate into the stadium, and you could just feel the presence of Chiefs Kingdom. It was funny, I'm in there watching the game. You could feel the energy. Everybody is kind of fired up to see what we're going to do. A lot of homecomings. I know we talked about that last week. But then, rewatching the broadcast um, Tuesday night, they immediately started talking about how loud it is, right? On the Manning cast, they had Bill Belichick talking about what Chiefs Kingdom can do and how loud it really is. Peyton Manning called it the loudest place he's ever played. So I mean, that's a testament to the environment that was created for this game. And I think the players, there's a reason it's called home field advantage, because those guys, I think, were getting fed that energy directly from the crowd. And it was just awesome. A lot of fun. We'll jump into player of the game here. I had Juju Smith-Schuster player of the game. I mean, that guy really popped off the page. Some big time catches, big time plays I think over 130 yards. Let me just check the stat sheet here so I'm not misquoting anything. Yep, buck 37 catches with a 50-yard catch as well. Kelsey had a great game as well. Kareem Hunt got his first touchdown. I think that's incredible. Over 100 yards rushing on the night. Mahomes, no touchdowns for him, but he was able to make it happen on a few plays. So all in all, Xavier Worthy obviously doing what he does. All in all, the offense, top to bottom, looked the most comfortable they've ever been. Um, and that's what happens when you have big time injuries. Guys you were expecting to get a bulk of the plays go down, namely Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and Isaiah Pacheco, of course. They're getting backfilled with former Chiefs. We brought in Jody Fortson this week. He's a part of the team, activated the roster almost immediately, ends up making a catch in that game. Juju, Kareem Hunt, we all know about those returns. Samaje Perine is getting more of a role as well. Not that he's a former Chief, but it's really that backfill that needs to happen on the offense, and we're finally seeing some of that. Um, Another fumble for Carson Steele, not a great deal for him. But all in all, the offense looked pretty great. Just got to clean up some of those little mistakes, little penalties, little drops. Jawan Taylor, a couple mix-ups again in the game, but man, I just Juju Smith-Schuster coming out and just accepting the role full force and making things happen was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. Um, going into a few of those key plays, right? I think you can trace it to the obviously the Kareem Hunt touchdown, the Xavier Worthy touchdown. Those were critical plays. Brian Cook's interception right off the bat, I think, set the tone for what the game was going to be the rest of the time, which was just constant struggles for the New Orleans Saints. Um, didn't ever really look like they were getting anything going. Minus that first drive, they hit Shaheed on that bomb. I mean, other than that, everything was hard fought. One of the big notes here, maybe less of a highlight, more of a key performance note. Trent McDuffie. I mean, my gosh, you can maybe start using McDuffie Island for that guy. There's some numbers out there. I'm sure people have seen it out on the X platform, or your favorite broadcasters talking about it. But holding Chris Olave to just 2 catches for 10 yards, arguably a top 20-ish receiver in the league, that's impressive. And he should be the number one target for the New Orleans Saints. Shaheed, he had a great game with that long touchdown. But Kamara is really, I mean, anyone who talked about that, going through the week, what the Saints had to do to win this game, it all was centered around Olave or Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara was held to 26 yards rushing, his lowest total of the year. Combined, right around 65 yards from scrimmage. Not great. Not great for Alvin Kamara, and as someone who rosters him in a fantasy league, I can attest to that with maybe a little less bias than what I would usually have. Um, all in all, just not a great performance from the Saints offense, and I think you really have to credit the defense. One of my favorite still shots from the game is of Chris Jones looking like an absolute beast at the line and just getting bear hugged by maybe 3 or 4 Saints blockers in one single play. And it's like that's the impact that a guy like 9-5 creates and what he can do to open up those opportunities for other guys on the defense, right? Whether it's a linebacker blitzing, Leo Chenal maybe comes in, or Nick Bolton was able to make a couple of key plays getting into the backfield on situations like that. It's part of what helps stop Alvin Kamara so many times in the run game. And really, they couldn't get that screen game going either. So, I mean, this was a defensive victory for sure. But even though the offense didn't like jump off the stat sheet from a scoring perspective, we got a good number of points on the board thanks to Butker's leg. But just because the offense didn't put up those touchdowns doesn't mean they didn't have a great game. This was arguably the best offensive performance I've seen. I think mostly you can attribute that to the guys who are just getting in their roles. Like Travis Kelce in those first couple drives was just a target magnet. Like this guy was also just catching everything too, getting open in space. He looked quick. He looked elusive. Um, the theory that I shot out a few weeks ago about, maybe they're kind of reserving him a little bit. I feel like that's coming more and more into fruition as he continues to look like vintage Travis Kelce in these scenarios. We saw it a little bit in the Chargers game. We got more of it in the Saints game. Now the Chiefs are going into a bye week where they can rest, rehab, and gear up for what is going to be a very long stretch of football for this team. Assuming they get the 1 seed, which is where the Chiefs are currently slotted, that would afford them a bye week later going into the postseason. But that's not a guarantee. There's still a lot of games left. So they very well could find themselves in a stretch of games, 12 in the regular season. And if they go the distance in the playoffs, play wild card, divisional, conference, Super Bowl, That's 16 straight games. It's a full season in most NFL years. So, um, a lot of games left. A lot of games left for these guys. So, you know, uber important to gear up, obviously, for that bye week. Speaking of the bye week, the the big thing that the Chiefs I think need to focus on here is just obviously rest and recovery. I was harping on that for a moment, but getting these guys who are walking in, the Juju, Jody Fortson, Kareem Hunt combo, there's potential for some moves to be had during this bye week, right? With the trade markets kind of heating up as we approach the deadline in week 8. But it's going to be getting those three guys up to speed on any new wrinkles that they can add to their arsenal for this offense. While they had familiarity, I feel like, you're starting with just the elementary plays, Kareem Hunt knows how to hit a gap on the line. But when you get into those Chiefs specific scenarios where you have um, kind of maybe it's a hidden formation where they'll motion into some new formation, or you have all of this shifting that's occurring pre-snap. Those kinds of things the players are going to need to get caught up on, and maybe what some of that terminology and lingo looks like now compared to when they were here previously. In addition, it's going to be, making sure Kelsey stays on this progression that we've seen him. 26 points. That's the most they've scored since the Ravens game, if I'm not mistaken. So the Bengals game, excuse me. 26 in the Bengals, 27 for the Ravens. So I mean, just breaking that 30-point threshold has been a challenge, and you can tell it's because they can't complete the drive. I mean, they're getting down the field, and so that's going to be another thing the Chiefs need to focus on is how they can turn. They're turning sevens into threes on the defense. Now we got to turn threes into sevens on the offensive side of the ball, and the fact that they're going into San Francisco fresh off the bye, like I know San Francisco has some injuries, but that's going to be something where, those field goals will get you. It's going to make it a tough watch for Chiefs fans. It's going to make it a hard fought battle for the Chiefs as well. So just understanding what those things need to look like in terms of, potential trades and things like that. The bye week could be the perfect week to execute a deal like that, because you bring that guy in, you give him a week to get some installs on what that offense looks like, and then you maybe roll him out in a limited role in the Niners game, gear him up for that Raiders game coming the following week. So a lot that can happen in this bye week. We've already seen some movement in the NFL with coaching firings. Robert Saleh getting fired was kind of a shock, I think, for everybody. But those are the kinds of things that can shake up a team, right? The Jets, they fire Saleh. Maybe they don't get off on the right foot. Now they're open to maybe moving somebody. I don't know who it would be, but like those are different scenarios that you can look at going into the following week. We're going to keep it brief, keep it short today. Um, a lot to speculate on as we kind of move through the week, move through this bye week. But, we're gearing up for the long haul. We're going to keep cranking out 2 episodes a week as we get through the season. What's up next? I mean, it's the Niners, right? We're continuing the division run against the Raiders the following week. And then the Chiefs come back at home for a 2-game stretch against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Denver Broncos. So a lot to be looking forward to. If you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, that stretch as a whole features 2 teams that are on the NFC side of things, but they're playoff contenders, potential Super Bowl contenders. And I mean that about Tampa Bay as well. They've looked great. They've looked as good as any team throughout the season. So, those are things to kind of look at with regards to, this next quarter of the season, if you will, for the Kansas City Chiefs. From a standings perspective, the AFC, I mean, it just continues to be shakeup after shakeup. Baltimore takes down the Bengals, puts them at 1-4. The Jaguars finally get their win. The Bills fall to the Texans. That helps the Chiefs a lot. I mean, Texans right on their heels for the 1 seed, obviously, but Buffalo going down to 3-2 after losing to the Ravens. That's two AFC losses. Chiefs take care of business in mid-November whenever Trey and I get to make that trip out there. There's nothing they can hang their hat on at that point. You know, with the way the schedule shaped out for Kansas City, people mean it when they say they could very easily have locked up the AFC's #1 seed just by winning those first 2 games against Baltimore and Cincinnati. They carry so much weight in what that final calculation is of playoff teams. And the Chiefs still have the Texans on the calendar as well. But if they take care of business against Buffalo in November, continue to handle things in the division, and they don't drop any of these easy onesie twosies along the way, we're going to find ourselves in a place where these guys will get some rest and relaxation going into potentially a deep playoff run. So there's a lot going on here, a lot of fun stuff. Loved what I saw on Monday night. Just, man, would love to see Jawan Taylor not get a penalty as the most in the league since joining Kansas City. When it comes to false starts, offsides, those kinds of things. Got to clean that up. Got to turn those threes into sevens. And, if anyone can right the ship on that side of things, Andy Reid's going to be the one to do it. And if that happens and this defense continues to play the way that they've been playing, good luck to everybody else in the league. Appreciate everybody for listening. Go Chiefs. Trey will be joining me on this next show where we'll kind of go into a few things to look forward to, maybe a little more in depth there, and just gear you up for that Niners game. So appreciate everybody. Follow the show at the fastest_40 on X and IG. You see my tag here at Dan_TF40, where you can find me on X and IG as well. And make sure you listen to us on YouTube through the Odyssey Sports page. Every episode drops the following day after we record it. Appreciate your support. Go Chiefs. We'll see you next time. Peace.